Welcome to my space. Let's take 3 deep breaths together. Gather your energy back from wherever you've been. And on the exhale, dropping down into that womb space, that low belly. Here we go. Deep breath in. Ooh, feel free to wiggle, yawn, sigh out loud. Deep breath in. Oh, allowing yourself to land your awareness down into your body. What do you notice as you're landing in that slower, deeper space in your body? Deep breath in. Mm. Welcome to my space. I am going to do a little storytelling. So, my life is a big, giant story, and I have lived most of my life. Partially, this was a trauma response, but partially, it's just who I am as a creative. I've lived most of my life always thinking, ooh, this is going to make a good story someday. This is going to make a good story someday. This is going to make a good story someday. So that was part of how I got through really hard things in my life, was thinking about how I would tell the story someday. And that felt very satisfying for me. Um, so I love to tell stories. I have so many stories. When I was a freshman in college, I moved myself across, well, not across the whole country, but from Montana to the coast as far as I could go to escape. And um, as I was there, one of the things I remember saying, and this was not a quote from somewhere, although I've seen renditions of this in different ways. I said, the more of life you experience, the more of God you will know. And at the time, God meant something very specific to me that it means something very different now, which I also just did a video of. So if you want to listen to how I see God, spirit, goddess, life force, source now, it would be in that last video that I just made. Um, but I still stick with that phrase that I said as a freshman in college: the more of life I can experience, the more of God I will know, the more of mystery that I will know. And so I've always had an adventurous spirit. I have tons of that energy in my chart. So I've just lived in line with my astrology chart and the energies that are here for me to play with. So I have good stories. I have lots of good stories. And I love weaving threads together. So I've been tracking stories, tracking threads, tracking themes in my life, tracking synchronicities over and over and over. And it's this one big giant tapestry that's being woven. And it's thrilling for me to do that. Some people hate it, hate the idea of like tracking so many themes or tracking so many stories or connecting dots in the way that I do. But for me, it's actually very enlivening and joyful. So, um, this is just going to be kind of a rambling story telling session. So take it or leave it, but welcome. One of the things that I'm working with currently is owning the gifting, or not even the gifting, owning the, I hate saying title of artist, owning the energies of artist. Um, So I'm gonna tell a current story. I'm gonna work backwards a little bit. For my 48th birthday, my dear friend and I, she bought us a gift of an hour-long session with a someone who is a hand analysis person. So she would not call herself a palm reader. It's not predictive, but she's studied this for years and years. She's written books about this. Her name is Kay Packard, if you would like to look up her books. She's from our area locally, so that was a really fun little gift. Um, but in this hand analysis reading, I was in awe of what came through for this woman who doesn't know me personally at all. And one of the things that she told me from my palm is that my life purpose is to be an artist with heart. And in that moment, I just started weeping, which isn't a shock for most of you who know me. I do that often. So as I let those words sink in, and she said that information was found in my fingerprints. And she said that fingerprints never change. And so when she's looking at fingerprints for information, it's the core soul essence of who the person is. And the palms can actually shift over time, and the information there um, can shift. But when I heard that it is in my soul blueprint, my soulful essence to be the artist with heart, it was confirmation of these threads that I'd been working with for the last year that were becoming more and more clear. And this was like the stamp of bam, Emmy, it's time to own that you are an artist with heart. So this has been a really interesting process for all of those out there who are artists who've already owned this piece of you really is front and center. I just want to honor you because as I am in the process of reclaiming this deep soulful essence inside of me, I am finding all these internalized belief systems and fears around what will happen if I really own my artist with heart. Um, so I honor all of the artists who are actualized and creating and owning themselves and their energies as the creator, creatrix that you are. Um, so the threads of this story, I'm just going to keep working backwards from kind of present moment back. The threads of this story weave to this last year. I had thought that maybe there was a person who would be a life partner for me. I'd known this person for 4 years from a distance. We knew each other at pretty deep levels. We were writing together and, in a writer's group. And we both felt like we needed to see if this connection would be more than just soul friends. So I have not had a life partner since I got divorced in 2015, 2016, and I've been pretty content not having one. I feel really satisfied with my life. I feel satisfied with my job. I feel satisfied with the lovers that I've had. But this felt like something I had to at least um, see if it was a possibility. It ended up not being the thing we thought it was. It was very clear from a very early. He moved himself here for a couple of months to see if being in person would feel like a good in-person connection as much as it feels good when we're writing together and communicating from a distance. So we found out really quickly that it is a no, and that in itself is a whole different story that I might tell someday. It was a very fairy tale story. And actually I will say that experiment for me was putting to death the remnants of the fairy tale romance of my childhood. So it was also necessary for me to move forward in the world in truth, to allow that to come into reality and then be seen for what it was, and then to let that dream die so that it can be reborn if it may or may not. So that happened. And through that, I was initiated in several ways into more of myself. So the biggest one being, and this is a thread I'm going to follow right now, but I could talk for hours about the other initiations that experience propelled me into for myself, and maybe I will later. But the one that I want to bring forward is the idea that I constantly choose or chose unactualized artists to cheer on and support. And I can see the gold in an unactualized artist, like massively. I can cheer you on. I can be your biggest supporter. If I was a millionaire, billionaire, I would be supporting artists all day long, everywhere to do their art because I believe in art so much and I believe in music and I believe in poetry and I believe in what artists, creators bring into the world as one of the most important parts of showing life moving, even in the really horrific places or the hard places. It's the art and the music and the writing and the weaving and the creations that allow the human soul to um, thrive even in the worst of circumstances. So that is a deep, deep, deep belief for me. It's also deeply part of my lived experience growing up in a very dysfunctional home and with childhood sexual abuse. I found myself in music and books and art and drama and um, so real heart connection to the arts and the way that it saves us constantly. So when I realized that I was projecting out onto this beautiful human, the part of me that wanted to come forward from within myself. Um, I was really taken aback. I realized that the person I married and was married to for 18 years was also that. He's an incredible artist, he's a creator, but also has trouble bringing that into the world. Um, and a couple of my lovers have been that way, and then this person that I thought might be a life partner was also this. So when I realized I'm picking partners who are reflecting the part of me that needs to be coming forward into the world, I was like, oh my God, okay. Time to support and encourage and find and actualize the artist that is inside of me. I cannot help somebody out here do that. I have to do it for me. Nobody else can help me actualize my artist. I have to do it for myself. So that was like massive, massive shift. So that happened. I started really playing with that when that awareness dropped in. Um, and then I went to a performance by Maria Stark, and she is a gorgeous artist. Um, Her performance was womb centric, it was divine feminine, it was voice and embodiment and strength and the life cycles and honoring the womb and the water and the blood. And I was just overwhelmed with her artistry and the messages of life that were coming through her. So I'd already recognized I'm here to rescue my artist in this next season. I go to Maria Stark 3 days later. Okay, so I'm at Maria Stark and I'm knowing like, oh shit, it's time to open this voice channel more than I have before. I'd already been told by life to start these experiments with blogging and videos, and I've hated them, by the way. I hate them. Um, Even if some of you say that you like them, I hate it. But I will learn to like it as I'm like literally they are just experiments for me. And if anybody's benefiting right now, I mean, like, serious bonus, because this is just practicing to bring my voice back into the world. Um, so, so I'd already been told in July, June or July, to start these experiments of bringing my voice into the world a little bit more. This person comes, I realize, oh, that's not the person, it's me. Um, then I go to Marya Stark, and she like gives this giant invitation into bringing your specific voice more into the world. I'm walking out of the place, and I get like instant, like huge cough. Something got stuck in my voice as we're walking out of the building from that performance. And I'm just like hacking up along. I'm like, what the and my friend, she was like, yeah, let's use your voice. Um, so it was clear, like, oh, yeah, synchronicity. Something in my voice is freaking out that I'm going to start speaking. I start hacking. 3 days later, Marya Stark offers this program for, it's called Everbloom Voice of My Womb. And it's about bringing your voice back into the world. So singing, songwriting. I've been a singer since I was a kid. I haven't done it for 15 years. Um, so I'm like, oh shit, I think I was supposed to do that. But I'm not really in the place to say yes to that. But I knew that that life was asking me to do that, that my womb was saying yes to that. So I signed up for her course. And that was in, I don't know, November. And then in December, I have the hand analysis woman, the palm reading. And it's just been 6 months of me coming to terms with the artist in me. Um, Another fun story connected to this is over Christmas break, I was at breakfast with two of my younger two kiddos who are 17 and 19, so not so young. And they're like, Mom, we were talking about you the other day, and do you want to hear what we came up with? That's always a little bit scary for me to hear what my kids want to say to me because they are very honest and they see me better than anybody else sees me. They see me at my worst and at my best, but also mostly at my worst. And so they said, "You are a werewolf." And at first I was like, "Oh shit, I don't like this." And then they went on to explain, which is very true, that they said, because your business is built on MEK coaching, it's your face, balanced living is just you. You have this persona, this nice, tidy person that you present to the world, but at home you're the wolf and you're an animal and you're a creative and you're messy and you're loud and all these things that you don't show the world. And I was like, yep, that's like the struggle of my life and existence has been like my people that I serve see me as the nice, tidy person. And the reality is, I'm a very much an animal. I am very human, way wolf, and um, I'm working through my shit all the time, and there's a lot of it. And so as I've been sitting with that, at first I felt a little bit bad about it. Like, man, um, I have been trying to blend who I am as the wolf form into who I am as the persona of my business, more and more. In fact, I think I would say that the experiences the of the exploration around doing the videos and the blogging has been to try and get my voice a little bit more um, werewolfy rather than just the human piece of me. Um, but as I sat with all the things that I just shared in terms of owning my artist, and then my kids' comment about the werewolf, I would say what I struggled with is this feeling that the artist in me has always wanted to say the rawest parts of my experiences and to take people into those life, death, and rebirth processes through the art that I want to create, whether that's a story or storytelling or art of some form or poetry or um, drawing, whatever that is. I deeply, deeply desire to share the underworld journey that I have gone on and that I cyclically go on. I deeply desire to share not just the pretty parts of life, but the really ugly, hard ones that I've made it through with the help of spirit and with the help of images, living images, and with the help of myth and story and music and people that know me as the werewolf. But as a single mom who started a business with nothing, living on welfare, not having child support for a very long time, and having no savings. In fact, I was given debt when I was divorced. I had nothing, and I had never had a job to my name because in the religion that we were serving in, it's frequent that a church or a mission organization or a ministry will hire a couple, mainly just hire the husband, and the wife is expected to work as much or more than the the husband and take care of the family and do the wifely duties as well. So that was my story. I was a stay-at-home mom doing ministry alongside my husband for probably 16 of the 18 years I was married. So I didn't have my own resume. I mean, I have a resume, but I didn't get paid for any of the work that I did. I can't say that I was hired at any of the places we were hired at. I came out of my marriage with debt and and experience. So at that point, um, being an artist wasn't a good option. And I love holding space for people to meet themselves in the most authentic way and to bring their most authentic self into the world. Now I'm realizing what that actually means. I want the hidden creative artist in me wants to find your hidden creative artist and say, let's bring it together forward into the world together. So, um, as I've kind of been morphing in these last few months around the way I market, in the beginning, when I started balanced living and I had nothing and I had to make money and I had to make this work and I wanted to make it work, not even that, like I was determined and I did it and it's awesome. Um, I marketed to you and to your problems and how I could help you solve them and fix it and let you know that you needed me so that I could make money and support my 4 kiddos. And I loved what I did. So if you are still with me and you're listening to this, like, especially if you're still with me, and I have lots of clients actually that started with me, in 2016 or 2017 and are still with me all this time later. So if you're that person, then you are the creative that is also coming alive as we work together. But um, in the marketing, as I started Balanced Living, there was a desperation and need for you to need the work that I was offering you. And as that business was established over the years, and the more honest I am with me and what makes me come alive in the world, it's less about meeting your need in terms of helping you get fixed or find better solutions. And it's less about that. And it's more about me holding this really unconditionally loving, non judgmental space for you to access your truths, to find what's in the way of that, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual pain or situations, and to learn to surrender to life force in a way that helps you bring what your soul wanted to do on the planet forward into the earth with more confidence. So now I'm seeing all of the weaving and the threads, and I'm being a little bit more honest about that in these videos and in the way that I'm marketing, which I freaking hate. Um, but I will say that the more committed I am to bringing my truth, my artist self forward, and the things that my artist wants to say in the world, there is a giant fear connected to the fact that it will destroy the part of my business that makes money and supports me and my four kids. Because I'm meeting the internalized false beliefs that every artist, I think, must face in terms of, if I am an authentic artist, then I will starve, right? Like that's the traditional story. You can't follow the artist's path without being a struggling, tortured, starving artist. And and so I'm meeting that and I'm holding that part of me as I'm sitting with the werewolf self, as I'm listening to what it is my soulful artist is really wanting to say in terms of storytelling and bringing song and voice and artistry into the world to speak about the more often than not the death process of the life, death, and rebirth process. So that's part of my journey right now. That's real authentic, real. If you are already a balanced living client, nothing is going to change in terms of how I work with people. I have been very authentic in session with each person. Um, I think what I'm afraid of, I guess, is that the more honest I am here, there's something interesting about practitioner roles, is that people who need help want to be helped by somebody who feels like they have already got it together. It's like a comfort thing to the psyche. Like, I don't want to go to somebody who is already a mess too. I want to go to somebody who can help me out of my mess, right? So, um, I guess that's another thread of fear that I'm meeting and working with as I present more of my darker processes for my own life is, man, that's going to be out here. And my clients potentially have the opportunity to see just how messy I am, because that doesn't come through in sessions. It's not supposed to. I don't want it to. I don't want it to blend. I'm there for you. Um, And actually, the reason that I can hold the deep space that I do for you is because of my messy processes back here that I work myself through. But to actually be the artist who brings those forward with a lot of authenticity, there's just a lot I'm working out. And I know I'll work through it and I'll get through it. I'm not looking for anybody to say it's fine. I've got myself. It's actually something else I teach in my Wild Women circles. So that was a long, rambling story. I will say one last piece on that. If you've listened all the way to this end, um, the feminine way is a storytelling way, and there is definitely an art to storytelling. Um, some people are professional storytellers and do such succinct ways of transmitting the story and the lesson and the threads. But one of the things that we've lost in culture with a patriarchal, linear, time-oriented culture is the space for winding, rambling storytelling, pulling threads through, coming back to certain things, bringing them forward. And if you don't like that way of communicating, then you probably won't want to listen to my storytelling videos. But if you are intrigued, it's actually quite a gift to create space for yourself to tell the circling stories, to take a longer period of time to thread in history into the way that you tell your stories, if you can find people who are interested in hearing them. And honestly, it is one of the things I do in my sessions is help people tell their longer stories and thread back around. And it's a very healing way of being with your own personal story, your own personal myth, your living myth, and then bringing that in succinct bits out into the world, because not everybody has a patience for a long circling, cycling transmission of story. So that's the last piece I will share here. Um, I do plan on doing a little bit more storytelling, telling my journey in less teaching ways, and just as the artist storyteller that I am. And it will become more refined over time, I'm sure, but right now it's just a messy experiment. So if you're on board with a messy grassroots experiment, thank you. And I enjoy putting these words out into the world for anyone to be encouraged by. Um, and you're welcome to make comments, but I don't engage arguments or personal negativity will be erased off of my board. I just don't engage in that. So find somebody else to hackle or hassle if that's what you're here for. So much love and peace to all of you. Thanks for listening, and I will return. I hope you will be too. I hope you will too.